Sorry, Trap. His Kevin Costner thriller did your concept better. Trap fails to deliver a compelling storyline due to awkward dialogue, absurd character decisions, and lack of substance. Mr. Brooks offers a more complex script with additional characters and a physical representation of the protagonist's dark side. The dynamic between Costner and Hurt in Mr. Brooks effectively delves into the villain's mind, unlike the shallow portrayal in Trap. Although his record isn't as spotty lately as it was in the mid-2000s, M. Night Shyamalan still has a habit of pulling the rug out from under his audiences, and not in the fun, twist-ending way he used to. His most recent release, Trap, has an intriguing premise that unfortunately falls apart due to its awkward dialogue, absurd character decisions, and general lack of substance. Aside from setting out to create tension as a serial killer, Josh Hartnett aims to escape a sting operation. Trap tries, and ultimately fails, to paint a picture of Hartnett's Cooper as a villain conflicted by his desire to murder and be a good father. This serial killer/family man conflict was also done in Mr. Brooks, a 2007 movie directed by Bruce A. Evans, one of the screenwriters for Stand By Me. Kevin Costner plays the titular character, a serial killer with a family just like Josh Hartnett's Cooper. Even though it's not exactly groundbreaking, Mr. Brooks has an edge over Trap simply because of how it swings for the fences. Brooks also has a daughter who may have inherited his lust for murder and a physical representation of his dark side, played by William Hurt. There's almost too much going on in Mr. Brooks, but compared to the hollowness of Trap, that sort of works in its favor. A psychological thriller about a man who is sometimes controlled by his murder and mayhem-loving alter ego. In general, Trap and Mr. Brooks both revolve around a serial killer who is also a husband and father. The two men try to keep their two lives separate but struggle in one way or another to reconcile the two parts of themselves. Both men also have a daughter who serves as one of the catalysts for the plots of their movies. In Trap, Josh Hartnett's character, Cooper, finds himself at the center of an FBI sting operation as he takes his daughter, Riley Ariel Donoghue, to a concert. In Mr. Brooks, Costner's protagonist, or antagonist, discovers that his daughter Jane, Danielle Panabaker, has likely inherited his psychosis, and she's killed someone while at college. One of his conflicts in the movie involves him trying to cover for his daughter and wrestling with how to reconcile both of their homicidal urges. What separates the two movies is the complexity of their scripts. Trap uses a very formulaic structure that ultimately feels empty. Cooper is almost trapped, then escapes, then gets caught again, then escapes again. An FBI profiler, Haley Mills, does explain some of Cooper's quirks, like his OCD and his ability to blend in, but none of that really matters. The movie marches through each scene to Shyamalan's desired conclusion, regardless of whether it makes any sense. Mr. Brooks, on the other hand, almost has too much plot, adding a daubed FBI agent, Danny Moore, a blackmailer, Dane Cook, and a personification of Brooks' murderous urges through William Hurt as Marshall. Throwing so much at the wall is a way to ensure that something sticks, at least. The dynamic between Brooks and Marshall, who are essentially the same person, is a better way to organically introduce the inner workings of Brooks' mind, rather than having a profiler explicitly explain his psychopathy to someone else. To have a physical embodiment of Costner's internal conflict through William Hurt's Marshall is one of the best choices Mr. Brooks makes. Marshall is the dark side of Mr. Brooks's psyche that enables his addiction to killing. It's not exactly a separate identity per se. It's more like an imaginary friend, a defense mechanism for Brooks to justify his desire to kill. But by the end of the movie, when Brooks explicitly declares that he doesn't want to die despite the things he's done, it's clear that Brooks and Marshall aren't really at odds. They are a single person who enjoys killing. The performance between Costner and Hurt is one of the highlights of the film, and it's a visually interesting way to delve into the villain's mind. Casting two actors to play two sides of the same character shows how intentional the film's about dissecting what exactly makes the serial killer tick.